Hey, it's Dr. Karen Can. Welcome to another edition of the Spiritual Medicine Digest. And this week, I've been guided to tell you a little bit more about a particular type of human. This is a sensitive soul called a light being starseed. So what's a light being starseed? Well, a light being starseed is a soul that in other timelines, other realities, did not have physical form. They were just light. And in fact, they lived in this commune, if you will, of love, light, and wonderfulness. They didn't have a body, so they didn't really need boundaries. And these amazing souls, very evolved usually, some of them have volunteered to incarnate into a human body to help with human ascension and the evolution of this planet. So that's incredibly magnanimous and awesome of them. And when they incarnate into a human body, it can feel lonely. You know, sometimes when I've worked with some of my one-on-one clients, those that are light being starseeds have had a feeling throughout their entire childhood and even adulthood that somehow, no matter how many people love them, no matter how awesome their family and friends and community are, somehow they feel like something is missing. They feel still separate. They feel like they do not belong. This is one of the very common symptoms of light being starseeds as a human body. Now, when they understand and realize who they are, so for example, they get a soul typing from me or one of my level 2 practitioners, or on a mini healing or, telesummit or something like that, then they have suddenly like that awareness is like, wow, I'm from a light being collective and I'm not used to this meat suit, and this meat suit can have some issues because it's very, very dense. And those light beings are very, very light, high vibrational. So it's so challenging sometimes, especially for those that are relatively new to the human experience, to be able to control this meat suit and to have all the parts working, especially when we're going through such a massive ascension upgrades. So, well, this past week or two, we've had some major ascension upgrades that have affected light being starseeds, sometimes more than others. And I say sometimes because each person has an individual experience, and sometimes my experience is going to be different from someone else's. But what I can tell you is that sometimes there's a core fundamental thing that is healing, changing, evolving that is causing all of our issues or symptoms. So what am I talking about? Symptoms. Well, in the last 2 weeks, some of the symptoms have been skin issues. So now this can happen to other non-light being starseeds as well. That can happen to other starseeds and other sensitive souls. However, light being starseeds are unique in that usually their skin symptoms don't seem to respond to anything on earth. Meaning that, you can put all the creams you want on it and it doesn't really do anything. And I experienced something in the last week or so of this what we would diagnose in medicine as an eczema patch. Now, my eczema patches used to be really bad when I was a kid, and I didn't know then that eating glyphosate-laden wheat products were probably not a good thing. I didn't know about soy being genetically modified and, hurting my gut. I didn't understand that birth control pills and steroids and allergy medicines and nasal inhalers and all that kind of stuff that I was taking, and anti-inflammatories, all that stuff that I was taking way back when was really messing up my gut, my immune system, and therefore the inside of me was represented on the outside of me. So I had all sorts of rashes, all sorts of, oh my gosh, I went to the dermatologist like all the time. Okay, pimples, zits, rashes, you name it. So this eczema rash that I was on my neck was very, very localized and really, really itchy. And I did the usual, holistic medicine thing, which is, staying away from sugar and, making sure my diet was good and, putting on my LifeWave phototherapy patches and putting on, homeopathic and other types of high vibrational creams and shea butter and, that kind of stuff. But I knew after a few days where it wasn't magically better, because normally using these simple tools miraculously can just go away, I knew that I had to dig deeper. So what I found was very interesting because many VIP clients of mine who are Light Being Starseeds were going through similar issues, although it may manifest differently in them. So what other things can it manifest in? It can manifest as headaches. I'll tell you why in a moment. And then it can manifest, like I said, skin issues, and it can manifest as malaise, like just feeling really, really like tired and funky that way, or head pressure, itching. So these are some of the things, not all, but many different kinds of symptoms. So what I discovered, drum roll, okay, so what I discovered is that with one of the ascension or multiple of ascension upgrades over the last 2 weeks, that certain abilities were improving, or at least improving is not the right word, is being bestowed, I suppose, on Light Being Starseeds. So it's like an ability they had before, but now they have that ability in a human body. So without going into lots of details over all the different things I've found over the months and years, I'll just tell you what the latest one was, and it was the Light Being Starseed has manifested the ability to control time. And what does that mean? Well, I think on a practical level, it means that in their personal experience, even as a human, they can slow down and speed up time. And how they do that, I'm not an expert at that because this is pretty new to me as well, but sometimes just by doing that with intention. So for example, if someone is at a very boring party and they'd really want to leave, without being rude, they could potentially speed up time so that, oh, wow, it's 9 o'clock. It's been great. See you later, However, if you're lying on the beach in Fiji and you're watching a beautiful sunset, you may want to extend that time and make that longer, right? So slow down time, if you will. Or if you have a big project and you have lots of things to do and you want to feel relaxed doing it, maybe you want to slow down time. So it's something to experiment with. It's something to check out, see how it works for you if you're a Light Being Starseed, because you now have that gift of being able to do that. Now, what happens with Ascension upgrades is with these upgrades, the parts of us can take some time to integrate these upgrades and also have to evolve along with them. So in addition to our physical body, we have non-physical systems and bodies. You could say we have an emotional body, an energetic body, a spiritual body, a mental body, a dimensional body. And this week, the dimensional body is the one that's in the spotlight. So in my Topican healing method training program in level 1, we talk about the dimensional body and the dimensional body anatomy. So I'm just going to share a little bit of that with you today. There is a line of what we call energetic dimensional portals on the midline, and it sort of corresponds to an acupuncturist, my little acupuncture doll here, the conception vessel that goes through the front, and then the governing vessel, that goes up the back. And it's interesting because some of the points, acupuncture points, actually correspond to these portals, these interdimensional portals. So, well, what are those things? Okay, so think of your dimensional body as another type of body, but again, it's within you. I won't go through all the dimensional anatomy, but in this line, there are portals or access points to other dimensions. And these dimensions have numbers, if you will. So, access to the 7th dimension, access to the 10th dimension, access to the 8th dimension. Okay, so we have some sort of anatomy, even non-Light Being Starseeds, to access these dimensions. Now, these portals I discovered to be a number of years ago because there was an elderly client of mine who had very strange symptoms, but I knew she was Light Being Starseed. And one day she told me that she had suffered the worst headache of her life. And as a medical doctor, when we hear that, we're like, you're going to the ER and you're getting a spinal tap or a CAT scan or something to make sure you do not have a brain bleed, okay, because that is life-threatening. So she did go to the ER and she got the scans and the tests and the whole bit. They couldn't find anything wrong with her. And she's like, but my head hurts so much, right? So I was like, okay, let me look into it. So we had like an emergency visit. You know, in questioning Source about it, I found out there were these interdimensional portals. And what was fascinating about this person was all of hers were wide open. And I thought, I wonder if it's supposed to be like that. Well, apparently not, or at least not for her at that time. So an ascension upgrade had happened, and what happened to her is all of them opened up at once. So she was flooded with that access and ability into all those different dimensions. But her body, human body, could not stand, you know, that much, you know, access to all these different dimensions. And so she ended up with this horrible, horrible headache. So I thought, what can we do? So I found out two things. One, I found out that these portals can be misaligned, so they can be more on the right or left sides of the body, and that's not a good thing. And that there is some sort of network, I call it fascia, so like dimensional or energetic fascia, that connects all of these points to each other. And so if there's a distortion in that fascia, you can have these portals distorted to the left or right. So one of the things we could do was right them, you know, bring them back into the center line. The second thing I found out was that these wide open portals didn't have any sort of regulator on them. And that if someone's portal suddenly, in this case, opened up completely, it would be overwhelming. Like they didn't have time to adjust, you know, to accessing all those dimensions. So what I did was I created something, I call it like a regulator. So what does it look like in my mind's eye? It kind of looks like the old-fashioned cameras with the shutters. You know, like if you ever saw the 007 movies with Sean Connery, you know, you could see like at the beginning of the movie where they have the credits, the shutter opens and then you see him and he shoots and then the shutter closes. Yeah. So if you're old enough to know what that is, you know what I mean. So these regulators will open up that access to that dimension in a speed that is for that individual person's highest and greatest good. So it's good to have that access, but it's not necessarily good or tolerable to have all dimensions accessed all at once. So I created this governor and or this regulator, and then you can download and activate that. Now the thing is that you kind of have to know through divine muscle testing, you know, how aligned your interdimensional portals are and whether the regulators are downloaded, and then you can download the regulators and then realign. And sometimes you actually have to know why they're not aligned, and that's where the Topican healing method comes in handy, because we have, you know, charts and things like that that you can look things up as to why they're not aligned. You can do that healing, and then often they'll align on their own, or you could do a Topican healing directive, which is sort of like a command to, you know, write them. Now that's the background of what I'm going to talk about this week. That's like old stuff. So what I found out this week was that the dimensional body needed to evolve with this new talent of being able to control time. So we had to create and download the positive morphic field of a healthy relationship between the dimensional body and time. So positive morphic field is like a blueprint. So the blueprint is, hey, here is how these two things can, you know, work together. So when that healthy relationship is in, then that dimensional body and time that you know, that it's easier to work with, and you have less symptoms if your symptoms are due to the dimensional body not being happy or needing an evolution. So one of the things you want to do if you do divine muscle testing is just check, especially if you're a Light Being Starseed, how happy and healthy is my relationship between my dimensional body and time. Now, I know some of you are like, but time is a concept, it's not real. Well, you know, our experience of time is real in this reality, so there's still a relationship that you can measure. So you get that out of 100%. If it's not 100% or near 100%, you may want to download this positive morphic field. So the directive for that is, I now command that the positive morphic field for a 100% optimized and healthy relationship between my dimensional body and time be downloaded and activated in me and all versions of me where I exist in the highest and best way with ease, speed, and grace. Thank you. Okay, and what I did notice is that after you've downloaded it, check how activated it is. So you can go ahead and activate it, and you can just command that this positive morphic field be activated, and then you want to check. And what I found is like sometimes it doesn't activate to 100% immediately, which often it does. So this is interesting how this one actually takes time to activate. It could be an hour, it could be a day. So you want to follow that over the next couple days just to make sure it is getting closer and closer to 100%. You can also ask your spirit team, your guardian angels, your guide team to help you to complete that download and activation as well. The other thing really interesting is that this rash was directly related to these interdimensional portals and the dimensional anatomy needing these healthier relationships. And for me personally, I found out that the regulators were not working optimally. And when they're not working optimally, sometimes I have to know more. Now, in this case, I needed to know that the access points had moved from where they were. So, ideally, the access points are pretty close in alignment with, interestingly, the acupuncture points. But mine was off, completely off. And it wasn't like the whole thing shifted. It was like some of them literally moved. And the one that moved the greatest for me was the 7th, meaning the access to the 7th dimensional portal really moved. I mean, I'm not sure where it was to begin with because I didn't check, but I think it moved all the way down to my sacrum. So I'm having some sacral skin issues as well. But good news is I was able to figure that out. And after I figured out that in addition to these interdimensional portals needing a regulator at 100%, mine could not get back to 100% until I figured out one more piece of the puzzle. And it's very simple. It's balance. So if in doubt, ask about balance. So what happened is that all these different dimensional portals were not balanced within each other. In other words, you can regulate each one individually, have them all regulating well. They open up when they're supposed to be opened up, and that's great, so you don't get headaches, right? But also they need to be in balance with each other. So that's like saying that all the acupuncture points on your governing vessel and conception vessel meridians should be balanced in relationship to each other. So you can also do that as a download and activation as well. So I'll do that for you now. I'll actually say the Topcan Healing Directive. Now keep in mind, if this is not your issue, then nothing's going to happen. And keep in mind, if you need to know more before you do this balancing, you may need to address the guides, get some divine muscle testing done to figure out what's going on with your dimensional body. So here is the Topcan Healing Directive. I now command that all my interdimensional portals be aligned, fully regulated optimally, and balanced in relationship with each other in the highest and best way, all directions of time and all timelines where I exist. Thank you. Okay, so if you happen to be a Light Being Starseed and you just said or heard these directives and you made that intention to download and activate in yourself, if you muscle test, you can just check how activated and how downloaded they are. They should be 100% downloaded, but just check how activated they are. And then post in the comments near this video as to what that feels like for you. How did your body feel when you went through that activation, that download? And let me know. I would love to know. And even if you're not a Light Being Starseed or you're not sure, it's not going to be harmful for you to make that intention to, hey, you still have dimensional anatomy, right? So you can still make that intention to receive. So just as a summary, what we did here were two things. One, especially for Light Being Starseeds, this is specific, to have a healthy relationship between the dimensional body, the entire dimensional body, and time. Okay, and then for them and everyone else, we want those interdimensional portals to be aligned, to be back to where they're supposed to be, to have their regulators balanced. Okay, so they're not all open at once, right? They're open as they should, whatever's for highest and greatest good and tolerable, right? And then to have these points, these interdimensional portals, in balance with each other. And I have to say that that has helped my rashes a lot. I just did this healing yesterday, and it's helped a lot immensely, immensely, immensely. Because it'd been about almost a week that I had this, itchy red spot, and I would just wake up just itching, and it turned leathery and brown and kind of yucky, and it's pretty intense. Now, the other thing I did want to mention, as far as we talked about, other tools, and I said that some tools do not work on that dimensional level, especially for Light Being Starseeds. However, I did find one thing that was more helpful than others. And interestingly, guess what it was? It's rose oil. Very, very, very valuable, pricey. Rose oil. Now, I get mine from a.k.a. a.k.a. Organics. It's Bulgarian rose organic or Bulgarian rose oil. It's amazing. It smells amazing. And so I had rose oil serum, but I also had this is hand cream, rose oil hand cream. Now, the cream itself I don't think really does anything, but the rose oil does, and I think that was super helpful. Now, I have to, also say that when I was using the rose oil, initially I had also used some CBG, which is similar to CBD, from my good friends at Elmer Mountain Therapeutics, Ashley Reynolds, and we had an interview with her a number of weeks ago, and so I mixed the two. Although I did use, the more diluted form in a balm here, and it didn't work as well as the rose oil combined with the actual CBG oil. I know that's like heavy guns, but it does seem to help. And then today I decided just to use the rose oil and the rose oil hand cream, and it, it is very comforting. Now, why would that work? I think it's because rose oil is so high vibrational. It's close to the vibration of love. And I think that's probably why it was more comforting, although I still had to figure out all this dimensional stuff, So one thing I wanted to mention, before we get to announcements, is that each of us has a journey, and sometimes the journey takes winding roads to get to where we are going. And sometimes it can feel frustrating. Sometimes it can feel like you can feel defeated, or like, I'm trying so hard, I'm working so hard, why is this not better yet? Or why is it better than worse than better than worse than better than, And sometimes it is because you need to know more, but healing is not a straight line. I used to say, healing, instead of it going, straight line, it's more like, it's better and better, but there's like these little lines. But now I saw a meme recently, which was much more accurate. Healing occurs in spirals. And I was like, oh, yes, that is a better, so what does that mean? So you will revisit certain things, and you'll go deeper with those things. Because sometimes you're like, I thought I healed that already. My PTSD from what, you're going deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper, deeper, deeper. It's like a fractal, goes deeper, deeper, deeper. And does it end? I don't know, because fractals don't seem to end. And it just goes spirals and spirals. So you're going deeper and deeper, and you're evolving more and more and more. And who you become as a result of this process, that's the cool part. So remember, when you're in that space of, oh my God, not this again, right? Oh, why can't I be perfect? Just remember that you're in this process of evolution. And if you are Light Being Starseeds especially, and you're having a difficult time, just remember, first of all, you really need to know who you are, and you really need to know what's going on, because you are a high vibrational, loving, amazing soul in a human body, and you sometimes have to recalibrate and figure out how to work this human body. So you need to have that knowledge, right? And the second thing is, you've done easy. You've done easy in other timelines. So let's stop wishing for life to be easier. Instead, wish for you to have the resources, understanding, and the downloads and guidance from Source, your angels, and the universe to know how to navigate that, so you can get to the next stage of your spiritual evolution, help everyone else in the meantime with your beautiful love vibration, and elevate the ascension energies and love vibe of the entire planet in the process. How cool is that? I think it's very cool. So I want to share with you a couple of announcements. So on Monday's radio show on Light Warrior Radio, I have the pleasure of interviewing my good friend and confidant, Kathy Homeyer, founder of Nutritional Energetics, and that's at Monday on 12 noon. Now, 12 noon Eastern, if you have not changed time zones, just to let you know that in the Eastern time zone, we will have changed to daylight savings by then. So we'll be 1 hour ahead. So if you have not changed, then that's going to be a different time for you. So just check, your time converter, what time that is. So it's 12 noon Eastern with Kathy Homeyer. We're going to be talking about nutrition, energy healing, light, and, food. And we're going to have Kathy do some mini readings and healings as well. So definitely show up live for that show if you can make it. I think you're going to love it. The other thing I want to share with you is, it's like March Madness, such amazing things going on right now. A lot of wonderful telesummits. I've been watching quite a few things, and the ones I'm involved with, the first one, Divine Prosperity, is in full swing now. It started on March 1st, and it's really about how to become a spiritual entrepreneur and live your spirituality through and with your business. And my talk was released week 2, and I'll put the link near this video in case you want to check it out. I do share the actual how we named Topican Healing. So in case you don't know that story, you might want to check out that interview, and also check out some of the interviews of some of my good healing and wellness buddies as well. And that will continue through the 21st of March. So I'll put the links near this video so you can check it out. And the other telesummit is the Elevated Existence telesummit. Is still going on. And if you missed my interview, we talked all about intuitive decision making. And there was a special offer there, intuitive decision making, plus you get another course called the Holistic Health Transformation Program. So I'm going to put the link near this video as well, because that is time limited, and that is not going to be around forever. So just to let you know, I still saw that it was up. So if you have not figured out how to do intuitive decision making through divine muscle testing or internal muscle testing or intuitive impressioning, now is the time to get it. Okay, now it's the time to get it. So instead of getting it from my website, get it from Tammy on Elevated Existence, because it's kind of like a 2-for-1 there. It's a great, great price. And last but not least, the U-Wealth Telesummit is in full swing now, and my talk with Darius is going to be April 12th at 4 p.m. Eastern, so mark your calendars for that. It's called Becoming Resilient, how to be, being calm, controlled, and confident in the space of COVID and other challenges. So it's bound to be an exciting talk with Darius, so mark that for April 12th. And last but not least, you know what? If you are in that space of feeling alone or frustrated, especially with this whole COVID pandemic thing, where, people like your family members or friends think you're nuts because you think that masking, given the evidence, does not work. No, it doesn't. Double masking is even stupider, if you will, if I were to be judgmental. That questioning vaccines are a good thing. It is experimental, by the way, and some of the lockdowns, so if you're the kind of person that's questioning these things and questioning the utility and the science behind them because you've done all this reading and research, it doesn't make sense to you, but you have no one to talk to, and your family members think you're nuts, or ignorant, as my dad said this week, which is okay. I don't take it personally. Then you may want to, have a chat with those of us that know what you're going through and understand. So every Wednesday at 12:30 p.m., I'm at the International Academy of Universal Self-Mastery, and in our group, Sensitivity is Your Superpower. Every week, Wednesday at 12:30 p.m., we have a little chat. I call it the Take 20. So we chat about whatever you want to chat about. You want to chat about vaccines, we chat about vaccines. You want to chat about aliens, we chat about aliens. This past week we chatted about borax. Yeah. How cool is borax, And so, you know what? Join us if you can. The first 2 weeks is free. You can check it out, see if you like it. And then after that, it's a monthly fee of $9.99. I believe she the chief has not increased the price yet to $14.99, but it will any day now. So yeah, so you might want to catch it early and get grandfathered into the introductory price. So not only is this cool that you get to meet with me in person, if you will, on Zoom every single week, you also get all this like access to all these other faculty members, their free courses. You can check what paid courses they have, the Courtyard magazine, every month with amazing, beautiful articles in it. Free events and workshops. Anyway, so the list goes on, but it's really like going to school, but online, going to Hogwarts, but online. And I love it there, and it's great because I don't have to worry too much about what I am saying there. And if you don't know already, I have been banned by Facebook for another 30 days for posting or reposting something from my colleague from Telegram. And their bots caught it really, really quickly, which is really interesting. Yeah, so it's inconvenient for sure, but we are planning some other things for my tribe so that we can still stay connected, and you do not have to rely on Facebook or Google or YouTube or whatever to give us permission to chat. So if you're feeling like you need some support around this COVID pandemic space, please join me at iAwesome at www.karencan.com/iAwesome, IAUSM. All right, that's my Spiritual Medicine Digest for this week. I look forward to chatting with you next week, and lots of love, and have a wonderful rest of your week.